Are we live?
We should be live.
Alive?
We are alive.
We're kicking.
Very alive and kicking and hungry for dinner.
And hello, everyone, wherever you are watching around the world, whatever time it is. I was going to say good afternoon or good evening.
We'll edit it.
We'll edit all of that out. But if you watch the channel regularly, you will know that we are big advocates of the tin can. We've done tin can taste tests. We've done our tin can challenge. So you can imagine Ebba's excitement when Steel for Packaging Europe got in contact, and funnily enough, the email went straight into his spam. Tin!
We should stress, just for clarity, Steel for Packaging Europe is basically an organisation that represents a lot of steel makers and spend their lives trying to talk about all the positives of tins. And we do that with canned food and tinned food an awful lot.
We do it already.
Because it's all the things we love. It's affordable, it's convenient, it's useful, it's always there, it's safe. And therefore, today we're going to do 2 dishes for dinner that basically have canned food as the basis. Simple as that.
Are you hungry, Jay?
I'm hungry. I'm hungry
because we got 2 dinners.
Good. That's normal. I'm hungry for information. I want to know where people are joining from in the comments. Let us know. I've already seen some people coming from Iceland. Hello from the. Oh no.
They do frozen food, don't they?
The Ålands Island.
What?
The Ålands.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Comment below. How's that correctly pronounced?
No, I think it's because I watched Full Swing. And they've got the golf player.
OK, we are live again. We can't cut this out. Where else have we got? Trinidad and Tobago, fantastic. Vancouver.
Grimsby, Niagara Falls.
Hong Kong. Newcastle.
It's TV's Ben Eberl. I think the other thing about this is that not only have tins given us all of the affordable, easily accessible food, but also in the roulettes that we've done, the roulette challenges.
They've served us up some challenges.
Oh my goodness, they've given us some foods that we've
reindeer.
never had before.
Wild, wacky, tropical from all parts of the world. And I mean, we talk about like tinned fish, maybe tinned meat, things like coconut milk, fruit. Today, though, we're going to do a couple of recipes that focus on tinned beans, and then a second recipe that focuses on chickpeas, tomatoes, and olives. So lots of conversation with tins we can come back to, but I'm going to start cooking.
Start cooking. And what are you going to start? Where's it gone? What are you going to start cooking?
I'm actually going to start with a few fresh ingredients that we will add to our tinned base. Okay, so brown butter, fennel, lemon, salmon on a cannellini bean mash. So it's a bean mash. The whole thing takes about 20-25 minutes to cook. It starts with butter in a pan while I chop up lemon sliced and fennel sliced.
What I find really fun about having a chef cook is that he said that takes 20 to 25 minutes to cook.
Yeah.
And we're doing 2 recipes in what is probably going to be about a 30-minute
It's
live
really
stream.
nice to make him work.
Yes.
Isn't it? It's nice. It's nice to see you do something.
Look, here's an ingredient that most people don't consider outside of seasoning, a squeeze of lemon, or a garnish in a drink, ice in a slice, right? However, we want to use the lemon, the pith, the peel and all, as an ingredient in this along with fennel, because lemon and fennel, I think we've got a little taste of spring in the UK the last week or so.
Yeah.
No rain, delicious weather, and that delicious weather leads to delicious food.
That taste of spring, Ebbers, only comes when you're in direct sunlight. If you take one step into the shade, it is absolutely freezing still.
That's fine, because we're inside, as I imagine most of you are when you're cooking midweek meals, and therefore you can have a taste of spring and summer. And what I don't want canned food to imply is that it has to be boring and stodgy and like wartime rations. Cans have been awesome for ages. There's nothing new about them, but they're still doing a great job now, and it doesn't have to be oldie-worldy food, so fresh flavours added to it.
Do you think the broader rep of the can is still bad, despite our efforts to transform that?
I think sometimes when you think about canned meat and canned fish, it can be, just because it's quite old-fashioned. But the reason it hasn't really changed is it doesn't need to. It still works. Number one reason is it protects what's inside for a long time. So it is a steel barrier to protect the contents.
And that's why I feel that it's a lifesaver when you get home in the middle of the week and you go, what am I going to have? And I've got a couple of vegetables that are just about to go off, but fortunately I have got some coconut milk or some beans or something like that.
Here's a game for you, but more so for you. So give me the 3 cans in your cupboard that are always there and you always replenish, that you can always rely on. There's going to be 3 that you always have.
Kidney beans.
Oh, that is good.
That's because you're a chili con carne man.
Generally in a chili sauce.
Of course, yeah.
Coconut milk.
Yes, me.
Always have coconut milk. And tinned tomatoes.
Yeah, tinned tomatoes, definitely. I mean, I've got a 2-year-old who eats nothing but baked beans. So we always have baked beans. Definitely coconut milk. What else do we have? I actually have crushed tomatoes.
Oh, darling.
They're better, I find. They're better.
Crushed.
Crushed.
I have lovingly squeezed tomatoes.
Well, you'd like, so if you take them, you take the whole tinned tomato and you squeeze and crush them in order to get the right texture for authentic Neapolitan pizza.
Oh.
As so I have read.
Oh.
Correct me in the comments. Ebbers, what you go to tins? Give us some weird ones.
Category, legumes. I don't care if they're lentils or chickpeas or beans. I use them interchangeably and they're so versatile. Number 2, guilty pleasure, rice pudding.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tinned rice pudding, because then you can throw whatever fresh fruit you want at it, but it's always just a staple that's there, hot or cold.
I don't know about that one.
Huge nostalgia, but I love it. What else? And I would say, a bit of left field, but we're going to come back to it, tinned spices. Like things like smoked paprika in tins are also good, as well as the sort of the classic can that we use tin and can interchangeably.
Yeah.
They're obviously steel cans, but we use the sort of the tin can
Sorry,
as a
steel
thing.
cans or still cans?
Are they still cans? They
They're
are still
still,
cans.
they're not motionary.
Right. Lots of people. Will was asking if this is actually live or if it's just premiere.
Premiere?
Yeah.
We're on a premiere?
It's a premiere video. It's not live.
Very live.
Don't worry about that. Mr.
Do you think
Tingles.
we would put this out?
Mr. Tingles says he uses a lot of canned laughter.
Excellent.
But then actually people with real comments as well. Tuna, chickpeas, passata.
Passata, yeah.
Passata's
that's
a good one.
Great shout.
Bamboo shoots I've been buying in tins.
Yeah.
Very good, very good.
Tuna.
Yep. Tin tuna, obviously.
Canned potatoes. Now I'm on the fence about
You shouldn't
canned
be.
potatoes. I think they work, but you have to be very specific about where you're going to use them
Their
because they're
application.
quite watery.
Yeah, absolutely. The part of the canning process changes them, but then you need to know what to do with them. I just want to stress while I'm doing this, so you can see it while I'm doing it,
Oh, yeah, what are you
2
doing?
cans of cannellini beans that I'm going to empty into a pan, but I'm only going to drain one of them, because we actually want a whole bunch of liquid. And if you open a tin of chickpeas, that would be called aquafaba, but it's actually just liquid that's full of nutrition. The reason aquafaba sort of puffs up, foams up when you whisk it, is the proteins in it, same as egg whites. So
That's a protein
don't
shake.
waste that. In this instance, we want one
now.
of the contents and one drained.
Lots of people saying tinned fish. Tuna is a really big thing that people are talking about. You do know what the difference is between a piano and a tuna, don't you?
I've got another question for you guys. What's the weirdest thing that you've bought or seen in a can? We've done a cheeseburger in a can before.
That was not a great
I
option.
liked it.
The whole chicken.
Good. A whole chicken.
But do you
in a
know
can.
why? And the canned duck. Do you remember the whole
Yeah,
duck?
that was
the
great.
comfy
Comfy duck.
And the cheeseburger the same. I don't think it was a great product. But what it was preserved so you can take it without having to store it in a fridge, ambient temperature, pretty much indestructible, and the cheeseburger inside was as it was when it was first
It was how
canned.
the manufacturer would have wanted you to experience it, Ebbers.
Whether it's the cheeseburger you want is another question.
Ebbers, you don't want a cheeseburger ever.
I've never heard of this one before. Maya is saying they're Canadian. Maple syrup goes in a can.
Well,
I don't know if I've had maple syrup from a
We
can
should
before.
get some canned maple syrup.
if you
for the
think
extra
about
layer.
things like olive oil,
I've had olive oil
we have
cans.
olive oil
Yeah.
in sort of cans because, again, it stops the light. So we talk about it from protecting the insides from microbes and oxygen and all that kind of stuff, but actually also protects it from light, which is why spices don't degrade over time, but also olive oil the same. We have said this since day dot when we first started doing Sidekick. The app was called Meal Packs 5 years ago. Always rinse and recycle your tins.
Yep.
It's another great thing
Said that so
about
many times in a voiceover.
steel cans is they are infinitely recyclable.
Don't
And
forget.
they don't lose anything over time, and they're really easy to sort. So just clean them and recycle them, and because they're magnetic, basically the sorting process is really easy to recycle. I did learn something though, which I was guilty of. I would sometimes, to save wastage, stuff the cans with other stuff, other waste.
Oh yeah,
When you throw them away, but that then does make it more difficult to recycle.
So you should crush the can rather than leave
use
it.
less space, but
What were you putting in there?
other waste.
Recyclable waste.
Like tissues and other stuff like that.
It
It
was
was just different recyclable stuff. Right, look, 2 more flavours
was the
going
way you
into this.
phrased it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So, nice hot pan. We've got that nutty brown butter. The lemon's beginning to soften, the fennel. A little bit of chilli flake. Very sort of Sicilian in its vibe. And then our salmon goes on top.
These are great.
And the whole thing goes into the oven. Literally for about 8 minutes until the salmon has cooked. So it's a one-pot cook in that sense. Starts with the butter on the hob, gets finished in the oven. Meanwhile, we're just heating up our cannellini beans, 2 tins, and that becomes a bean mash. 8 minutes' time, that will be done. The oven's about 200 degrees.
It's a 3-can, 1-pan pot.
It's like the 3-body problem. Yeah. Do you want me to read out some things in cans that people have
I've
had?
seen some great ones.
Bacon in a can,
Okay.
cake in a can, Christmas dinner in a can.
Okay, let's play this game. Ebbers, would you eat these?
Canned rattlesnake.
Ooh.
Would you eat it?
We've had things like boar and reindeer in a can. So,
What
if
would
it
win in a
preserves
fight?
it, sure.
What would win in a fight?
Yeah, a boar, a reindeer, or a rattlesnake.
Canned lava.
Larvae, or as in insects.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Not as in from a volcano.
Yeah, I was just checking.
Yeah.
Because the way you pronounce it, I wasn't sure.
I mean, I've heard of a lava cake.
Yeah. Right. Mac and cheese in a can. Sprouts. Canned gator.
Yep.
Chinese dace in black beans is part of Hong Kong's identity.
Oh, they make a rattlesnake wine, Beth says.
Okay.
Canned pickles. Lovely.
Canned
haggis.
sheep's head.
So,
Done that.
second recipe, 3 tins. So another good thing about tins is they're already portioned up for you. They're incredibly uniform, and when we write the recipes, we pretty much know that all tins are about the same in terms of legumes. They're very universal, and for that reason, there's also less food waste. We always bang on about food waste, but you're opening pretty much single portion cans, and therefore you're not having to open bigger pots, containers, and therefore you can use it all up. So we are literally going into this tray with 1 tin of chickpeas drained, 1 tin of cherry tomatoes, juice and all.
Oh, they don't look like they've been crushed.
No, keeping these entire. And then
I can stomp on them like grapes, if you'd like.
about 60 grams of olives, which
Oh, he's
actually,
lost me.
once they're drained,
I'm out.
is about half of these. And the rest we can nibble on.
God, they're massive.
They are massive olives.
Nice chunky ones. Those to nibble on, those to rinse out. Mind the sharp edges. That is the base to this stew. But we add to it seasoning, obviously, salt and pepper. Although be careful, you know, the olives are in brine, the chickpeas may or may not be seasoned. And then we're going to make meatballs. And we're going to make meatballs out of sausages with some spices. So we've got smoked paprika, and then half a teaspoon of these 3, turmeric, cinnamon, and cumin. That was the one. Mixed together with sausage meat and a little bit of breadcrumbs to bind it. 4 meatballs, stick them on top of that tray bake in the oven.
And I imagine, and we'll save this judgment until the end, that already this is looking like a dish that has not been constructed predominantly from canned ingredients. That looked like canned olives.
Yeah.
I mean, that hasn't... I didn't know that was a thing until just now.
And yet canned olive oil you'd have known about without any thought.
Yeah.
So it's just a way of preserving. It's a way of having smaller control. Often you'll buy olives in the fresh aisle of a supermarket. Absolutely fine, delicious. But to have a few tins knocking around so they're always there when you want them, I think is really handy.
Does the texture change at all? Have you got
Or
less
if
of a
you
bite?
want to try, but you don't like olives.
No, I just... yeah. We'd learn nothing.
No, to be honest with you, technology has changed so much in the canning process that canned food now is better than it ever has been. Often, the nutritional value is really strong because the canning happens so soon after harvest that they're not kicking around for days to come to us in the UK from wherever they are. Things like tinned sweet corn, a matter of hours. They're in a can within a matter of hours. So the nutrition's kind of locked in, and there's no degradation of nutrition over time.
Tinned sweet corn, if you're just looking for sweet corn, is the best way of getting consistent, tasty sweet corn.
And you said about pizza, the consistency, you know when you open that tin of tomatoes, it's the same ripeness, flavour, viscosity as it was last time. The consistency, I think, is a big part of it.
I don't feel like we need to convert anyone into the value of tin cans, like of the food in there. I think for me, and maybe for you guys watching, it's about broadening the options, because I think of grab a tin, dollop it into some form of wet
something
thing.
else.
Which is why, genuinely, this is very, very interesting and inspirational almost, that whereas I may not replicate this dish completely, I can definitely utilise different elements and start thinking about loading up my store cupboard with those things so that they are more grab and go when it comes to sort of that last minute evening prep if you need to.
It's that, but it's also go and experiment and go and find some tins of food that you've never had before. Don't do what we do and take the labels off it and then go, oh, how am I going to use that?
With that and that. They are terrifying, those challenges.
Right, Warren E says the fact some cans still have keys needed, like corned beef and spam. Like,
that's because the treasure inside is worth putting under lock and key.
But, I mean, there must be ways that we don't need those keys anymore.
But that's
it's
part
there
of the
because
branding.
of tradition and it's because of the branding.
Which I think, you know, that have been around for ages and ages. Those people who don't know what we're talking about, literally corned beef comes with a key. And then you take the paper off and there's a little hook and then you literally twist it around. And it's thicker at one end than the other so that it slides straight out. Like, it still works. That design has not changed in forever.
Indy Emil says the lava cake pun didn't get enough love, Mike.
Thanks, Indy, and thank you very much for the super chat.
Why on earth do non-ring pull tins still exist? That is a great... We had this conversation like a minute before we went live, didn't we? Which was, do we need a tin opener? And you're like, actually, all of the tins we're going to be using have got the ring pull. But why is it that you never know until you pick it up?
But you know that I am a man of contingency, and we had that conversation, and despite the fact that every tin we opened had a ring pull, I thought I'll get a tin opener just in case. The very first tin I tried to open, I don't know if it was caught on camera or whether you were looking at the ring pull fell off. So I used the tin opener. So it is always worth having one.
Missed it. We recently filmed an episode of a video that is yet unreleased, where we opened up a 60-year-old item in a can, didn't we, Ebbers? And that had the classic...
Yeah, was it from the 60s?
It was from the 60s. It was a fruitcake.
A fruitcake.
And you will need to watch for the reaction. But there was an aroma in the entire building when we opened it.
And we should stress that I think cans have an amazing shelf life, canned food, but they say 3 to 5 years, really. Like, yes, most cans will last a bit longer, but the advised time is 3 to 5 years. So, yeah, what we opened was quite extreme, but it's a good example.
Yeah.
People are commenting on the fact that you said that it's yet unreleased.
Yeah, double negative. Did bother me as well.
Yet to be released.
Yet to be released. Yeah. But
well, maybe I actually was giving an alternative halfway through the sentence. So we made a video. Yet unreleased. So it was actually 2 points in one sentence.
Fine. Cool. Yeah. Canned bread.
Yeah, we've done that.
We had the it was like rye bread, wasn't it?
It was really nice.
I found a can at home the other week because we were talking about doing another video of using gone-off ingredients.
Oh, yeah.
And I found a can of, I think we've got one over there, Coleman's mustard.
Yeah.
Which went...
the powder?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's in my cupboard still, and the expiry date was 2012.
Oh, well played.
I moved into my house in 2019.
So you packed that and moved with it?
I moved with that at least twice. 3 times.
And you know what? It will have lost some of its pungency, but because it's got that barrier and it's safe and actually is not degraded because of the light, it's not as bad as maybe in a glass jar where it would have faded a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this into the same oven as our salmon, which is probably about due to come out.
Let's hope. How long? Oh, yeah, my spices go off quite often. The ones in glass, and they're out of direct sunlight.
Yeah.
But it feels like 5 to 6 months in, I taste it and I'm like,
Please do not touch that handle because it is
Cookie.
hot.
wouldn't dream of it.
It is also steel, by the way.
And
Ebbers.
No, I just
steel for packaging, not steel for frying pans.
for frying pans, for knives, for cutlery, for the lot.
Anna saying Jamie should try canned chili Hormel versus Skyline chili. Is Skyline chili the one from Cincinnati? Because I think somebody sent us that, or I got that whilst we were in America, and I had that, and yet I had to have it with. There was a certain way to have it. It was like have it with some grated cheese and have it with some crushed up crackers or
Are you
something like that.
telling me or looking to me for answers? Because I don't care about either. No.
Fine. The fact that no one's made an Ebbers playing with his... No, right, we're not doing that one, Acme Tunes.
But thank you for the £5.
It's a sausage joke.
Ebbers playing with his sausage. Yes.
I was squeezing
making balls.
But actually, it's not something I always say when we're squeezing meat out of sausage casing. It comes to you already seasoned. So whilst I added some seasonings to take it to a new place, cinnamon, cumin, smoked paprika and turmeric, I didn't add any salt and pepper because they're already seasoned.
So I notice, sir,
Yes.
this isn't entirely made of canned ingredients.
Nope.
Like these things. You are combining the fresh. You used fresh sausages.
Yep.
You can get canned sausages.
You can.
Canned
and
hot dogs.
hot dogs.
Canned
Yeah.
hot dogs. I know
and
you wouldn't use them in this dish, but
They serve a purpose. The problem with them, for this recipe, is they're already cooked. So part of the canning process, stuffed into a can and heated to sterilise what's inside. So everything that's inside has in some form or other been cooked. It's why the fruit, tinned fruit you get can be a little like tinned berries. Excellent to mix through stewed apples to add a lovely colour and flavour to a crumble mix. But they're not going to be as sort of have the same texture as a fresh berry. But you're going to cook it anyway. So for some things, it makes absolutely no difference. The convenience is there.
so as a rule of thumb,
But these hot dogs, therefore, are cooked. So you can't then reconstitute them into a meatball the way that we have.
yeah.
Can we just get a little round of applause for Fahim, who says that Ben should open a Only Cans account?
Yeah.
Only cans count. Yeah, we'll do it.
I'm a big fan of that.
Right, I'm going to blend our beans. So all I did was heat these up. I tipped them out of the tins. 1 tin with the liquid, 1 tin drained. Heated them for about the same length of time the salmon was in the oven, 7 minutes. And then you can just mash them. They're soft enough just to use a potato masher. For speed, I do this, and you get a slightly more consistent result. I don't want it completely sort of smooth anyway. Then, taste it for seasoning and stir through parsley. Dish done. I'll plate it up.
A few people asking about using canned pineapple on pizza and which canned pineapple is best to use.
Oh, great.
I would say every canned pineapple is best to use.
As a kid, tin pineapple and ice cream used to be a go-to as well.
Tinned
Yes.
apricots and
Yeah.
ice cream I used to have.
So good.
Although they could have been more inventive with what they put in the middle of the ring, the pineapple ring, because it's just a hole.
Yeah.
Now, surely you could fit something else in there that
It
was
was
entertaining to eat.
Like a glacé cherry. But they were tinned slices of pineapple were the best thing for upside-down pineapple cake.
Yes.
Because again, consistency, always right.
Yep.
No, always the same size. It's the consistency I think is key. Mangoes. We are right now in mango season. Now, Alfonso mango season, it's phenomenal. But for 11.5 months of the year, you can't guarantee to get the best mango of your life. Tinned mango, always consistently delicious. I use it in all sorts.
So actually, that's a great point. Eating out of season, if a canned fruit is applicable to how you're prepping it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that actually.
I mean, we've got like, some examples here: pears, jackfruit, apricot, mandarin. They're all tinned fruit, and they're all wonderfully consistent. And if it's not apricot season, then you can't guarantee it's going to be the best apricot of your life. Whereas that is always going to be exactly as you expect it to be from a can, consistent.
I'll tell you what I do like, and this references a conversation that we were having this morning.
Oh, okay.
Fruit salad.
Yummy,
Yummy.
No.
Wiggles chat. But tinned fruit salad is, I think, a staple of like English desserts. Like particularly maybe with a slightly older appeal.
The trifle.
Yeah.
So look, this is what we've got. Still a hot handle in the pan. In a way, this is a bit like a hot hummus, right? It's heated up legumes. But I think a butter bean mash, a cannellini bean mash, a chickpea, like a warm chickpea that becomes like a shawarma bowl. Actually, if you heat it up and blend it, you get a really lovely consistency. I'm now going to add all of our delicious buttered fennel, some of that onion. You've got the flakes of chilli. Because it's been softened and roasted, even that onion is absolutely delicious. One of our pieces of salmon, and about half of what's in this pan, basically, because we've made 2 portions of each. And I promise you, making sure we get some of that butter that we started with as well, just drizzled over.
What are you promising us?
What am I promising you?
You said, and I promise you, and then you left us hanging.
Oh, that it's delicious because of the butter.
Oh, OK.
Lots of people now asking for a Sorted and Wiggles collab. I think we could do that.
Or a film festival in Cannes.
Excellent.
We went to the Cannes Lions, didn't we?
That was a long time ago.
With YouTube. Yeah, a long time ago. Jamie would be a great tree for the Wiggles.
What's the dinosaur's name? You should dress up as the dinosaur.
Yeah, what is the dinosaur's
Bertha
name?
or something.
I can't remember. It's been a few years. You're in the thick of it.
I am in the thick of it.
It's been a few years for me.
But I normally just zone out and cry internally. Tin biscuits, Ebbers.
This is the thing. When we started to do this and we were having conversations...
He's pushing the brief.
We were having conversations about, you know, steel cans, and we were thinking it doesn't just have to be about the cheap, like, bottom shelf of the supermarket with all your tinned tomatoes and your tinned beans, because you can get very premium versions of those in the first place. But also, you can literally go to fancy places like Fortnum & Mason's and buy tea bags in tins, and that's because they're also really lovely to shape and to colour and to emboss. So steel cans don't always have to be cheap and convenient and affordable. They can also be quite a luxury and traditional.
Displayable.
Yeah, because they are, again, beautiful and they keep the light out and all the other bits and pieces around them.
Dorothy.
Dorothy, yes,
Dorothy.
that's it.
Dorothy's
Thank
a
you.
dinosaur, not
Dorothy.
Barney. Barney's a different dinosaur.
Different dinosaur, purple.
Yeah. This conversation's all on track, right? This is...
I think we're nailing it. I've still managed to actually learn 1 or 2 things, so it's an absolute miracle.
I think inspiration is everything. That dish there...
Doesn't look like it came out.
I don't think it should scream autumnal stews, right? And I think you can open tins of vegetables and beans and tomatoes and add into slow-cooked braised meat and majority of the ingredients. I love tinned spinach, canned spinach in like a sarg, in like a curry, because you know when you cook spinach, you have to cook this much to end up with this much.
Yeah.
You already get that
In
much.
the tin, you get that much.
Yeah.
So it goes in, but it can be quite heavy and stodgy and autumnal, whereas I think... Yes, it's got the fresh lemon and the fennel, but on the butter bean mash with the parsley, a very different vibe, as is this Mediterranean one.
Oh, has he timed it correctly, though? That's what...
Well, for those paying attention, that's
No,
not the one I put in the oven.
Oh,
The one
That
I
means
put in
we
the
have
oven
3
will
dinners.
also be ready in about 10 minutes, but then we've got dinner for days.
Right, Ebbers, you had a backup that wasn't actually required, because that looks fantastic.
I mean, honestly, a few more minutes and that would also have been just about there.
They're big balls, aren't they?
Yeah. 6 sausages split 8 ways. And what I'm going to do is get most of the base at one end. You see some of those cherry tomatoes now just beginning to pop. It's saucy, but it's not like soupy. And at this point, in with fresh yoghurt. And the reason for that is it gives it a tart acidity, but with the tomato, absolutely delicious. You don't want to put it in too soon. Certainly not in the oven because it has a chance of splitting. But actually, here it just creates a beautiful combination around basically 3 tinned ingredients that we didn't add anything else to. The other seasonings are in the meatballs.
Well, aside from the tinning process of your cherry tomatoes, are they any more or less sweet? You know, when roasting tomatoes, it basically makes them taste fantastic. It roasts all the sweetness, brings out all the sugars. Is that already there in the canning process, or are they basically just sort of a little bit, I guess, damper? I want to say not soggy, but soggier versions of their fresh version.
I think what you get is because they're often canned on the outside of the field, like hours after being picked, they are so fresh. They say like a tin of tomatoes has like so much of your recommended vitamin C and vitamin A that actually it can have as much nutrition in the can as fresh tomatoes that are already a week or 10 days old because they've been through the whole process. It's kind of locked in. Some of that locked inness is also the sugar from the sun-ripe tomatoes, and it depends on the quality of tomatoes you buy. Like anything, there's lots of degrees of quality that you can buy in ingredients, but some of them are so sweet.
What we got coming through?
People wondering how 8 balls are going to feed the 3 of us. It's fine because there's 2 lots of 8 balls, which is 16.
We're going to fight.
Still a hot handle.
That'll be right. Canned Parmigiano tomatoes are delicious.
Yeah, agreed.
I saw a comment earlier from someone saying or asking how much better are the like Mutti or Parmigiano tomatoes than tinned supermarket versions. We've done pick the premiums with tinned tomatoes, and there was a stark difference. I would say.
I think you get
it's
what
the
you
same
pay
rule
for.
applies, doesn't it? Whereas I think there may have been a bit of an assumption, certainly from me going into that video, going, it's all tinned. It's all probably going to be similar, without taking into context. Yeah, these are better quality ingredients or versions, just tinned at their freshest point.
And also bearing in mind, like so many things, a tomato is not a tomato. There are lots of different types of tomatoes, so whether you're buying one brand or other, they will be using different tomatoes in the tin. Same as apples, which we did last year. There's lots of different apples, and each apple has its own characteristics. The same with whatever goes in the tin. Some will just be better, nicer, or your more preferred tomato. What you do know is if you buy it from a brand, it'll always be the same.
I would love to pass on a message of happy birthday to Barry, which is what a few people are putting in the comments, but he's not here.
He
so
left
we can't
early.
wish
Something
him happy
about
birthday.
a birthday. Well, we've got dinner without him this evening, and he's got dinner at home for his birthday. But there we go. 2 dishes. We've got enough of each portion again, but basically we've got a a cannellini bean mash with parsley, and then fennel, lemon, chilli and salmon. And we've got 3 tins involved in this. Chickpeas, tinned cherry tomatoes and tinned olives with our meatballs, which also had tinned spice. So much variety. Tin food doesn't have to be boring. There's 2 examples. Comment down below, which one would you prefer to tuck into?
Well, you know, let's eat these first ebbers, and then we can tell whether any of this has been worth it. Because if these are awful, then, you know, I'm not sure we can get behind you. There's no forks in this place. What is happening?
Do you want a fork?
Zach Brown is in the comments. Isn't he busy?
You know him, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, isn't he busy?
There we go.
Oh, it's lovely.
I'm going to go in for this because for me, I think fennel is one of the most underrated ingredients. And people think about mashed potato, but mashed beans as a base mops up all that deliciousness.
Oh, I'm avoiding the olives.
Oh, you don't like olives either?
No.
Oh, more for me.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
Little kick from chilli, a taste of summer.
Those tomatoes are absolutely gorgeous.
And this one is a 1 tray, you know, plus 1 mixing bowl to mix the raw mixture. And this is 1 pan and 1 saucepan to make the mash. But so good. Do you want to try a salmon one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so simple.
Yummy, yummy, yummy.
Very, very, very tasty.
Now, while we do these lives, I'm not in a position where I can cook 2 dishes in that time and look at the comments. So I always love going back and seeing all the comments, so keep them coming in. Ooh. What else do you cook with your canned food? And if you were to go to your can now, what is the can that's right at the front of your cupboard? And what's the can that's most dusty at the back that you've forgotten about and not used? We would love to know, because we can do lots of inspiring recipes over the coming months with the food that you guys already have in your cupboards.
The dusty cans are where the fun is at, I think. That's the ones
cans
to explore.
are fun.
What are the cans that you bought thinking, oh, I'll use that one day, and that one day has not yet come?
I think, oh no, I do use those.
Fennel and lemon combo is absolutely delicious, especially when added to that beanie mash, which I'm not going to lie, I looked at and thought, what's that texture going to be like? But it's...
Fresh hot hummus.
Well, yeah, it's pretty much that. It's chunky and really, really great.
Really delicious.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We've had a really lovely time. We've got a lovely bit of dinner to eat with the rest of the crew who are here with us. Thank you for watching. Keep your comments coming in. We're going to be in the chat. And I'm going to finish by saying happy birthday to Rick, who shares their birthday with Barry, but is actually here. So happy birthday, Rick. Can we also happy birthday to Rick?
Happy birthday,
happy
Rick.
Birthday, Rick.
Excellent.
Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be doing loads more live streams soon. So, yeah. And tomorrow there is a video on Wednesday. What's Wednesday's video?
TikTok.
TikTok
food trends.
TikTok food trends. We're going to have a lovely time.
Featuring a croissant with hot chocolate poured inside. Yes.
Wait for that one. See you later.
Ciao.
Bye.
Folks, come and have a taste of all this.
These meatballs are delish.